Where are all the Chaos aliens? Are there any alien or Xenos race that are aligned with Chaos or fight in their ranks? As most of us know in the lore, in the grim dark, the forces of Chaos stand primarily as a twisted reflection of humanity's darkest impulses. The reason for the prevalence of humans among these forces is deeply rooted in the nature of the warp and the relationship between Chaos, which is the immaterium, and the mortal realm or real space. It is said that the Chaos gods feed primarily on human emotions and souls, finding a potent source of sustenance in the turbulent depths of the human psyche. Humanity, with its vast population which numbers in the hundreds of trillions or even quadrillions, become a staple for the ruinous powers. That and their deeply ingrained capacity for both good and evil provides a rich soul harvest for these malevolent entities. Indeed, 3 of the 4 Chaos gods are believed to have been birthed from the collective consciousness of humanity, their dark desires and fears given form and power. Although their origins might be more than just that, they could have always been in existence. Unlike the Eldar, whose dwindling numbers and disciplined psychic abilities limit their impact on the warp, humans are both numerous and inherently psychic, though most are unaware of this potential, and the ones that are would quickly be ensnared by the Imperium, killed, sacrificed, or those who would manifest demonic corruption might bring about massive destruction to where they are. This combination of factors makes humanity uniquely susceptible to the corrupting influence of Chaos, its trillions of souls acting as a wellspring of power for those who would seek to harness it. As a result, the armies of Chaos are predominantly human, their ranks filled with those who have succumbed to the lure of power. While other alien races may also worship Chaos, their numbers are not sufficient to rival the sheer magnitude of human followers, or they do not possess the same level of psychic potential as humanity that can attract the attention of the ruinous powers. Another thing I might add, the Great Crusade, which was led by the Emperor with the aim of bringing all of humanity under the rule of the Imperium, also resulted in wars and purges of various Xenos races. The Crusade left the entire galaxy void of alien civilizations, wiping out countless worlds and alien worlds, even if they are peaceful and non-threatening. In this crusade, countless Xenos civilizations were indeed wiped out, their existence relegated to myth and legend on many imperial worlds. This relentless campaign of extermination reinforced the belief among many humans that they are the dominant species in the galaxy, with other alien races being either non-existent or unworthy of consideration. But there are in fact other races, some of which even outnumber the trillions of humanity. Take for example the Orcs and the Nids, both races that are said to be more in number than the entire human race combined. But if that's the case, then shouldn't there be Xenos that are Chaos aligned, or working as servants of Chaos? This is a tricky question, one that we will answer accordingly. Let's take a look at the major factions of 40k. Firstly, why are there no Chaos Orcs? This is surprising, as in many literature works, movies and games, Orcs are almost always under the control of a Dark Lord or under some demonic force. Take a look at Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, or even Warcraft for example. But things are different here in 40k. Orcs cannot be corrupted here, as they were designed by the old ones to have a weird kind of psychic power that are genetically programmed and would only manifest together spontaneously and increased by a massive war. If an orc were supposed to fall into Chaos worship, which is highly unlikely, they would automatically lose their connection to the war, and thus would lose their minds or become animalistic. So what about the green space Terminators? The ancient Necrons cannot be corrupted because they have no souls, and are essentially just immortal robots. Their souls have already been consumed by the Khitan millions of years ago. The Silent King, their ruler, and other most sentient members of their race in fact oppose Chaos as much as humans and Eldar do, but this is for other reasons which is quite complex. Now the Nids. So the Tyranids are actually immune to Chaos corruption because as individual creatures, they are primarily animalistic and lack significant sentience. Their true intelligence emerges when viewed as a collective consciousness within a hive mind. This collective consciousness not only makes them resistant to Chaos corruption, but also generates the shadow in the warp, a psychic disturbance that disturbs the immaterium and repels Chaos entities. Additionally, the Tyranids are unable to consume Chaos entities because demons are manifestations of warp energy rather than physical biomass. so this puts these two factions at odds, with no real profits occurring for both factions from any encounter between the two. Now, the Tau are a relatively young and technologically advanced species, one that differs significantly from other major factions due to their lack of a relationship with the immaterium, which is the psychic realm of the galaxy. Unlike humans, Eldar or Orcs, the Tau lack a presence in the warp, which offers them protection from chaos but also limits their spiritual influence. Because they lack significant psychic potential, the Tau's souls do not resonate or register strongly in the immaterium, making them largely immune to possession or corruption by chaos. Their understanding of the warp is also very limited compared to other races, as their philosophy, the greater good, focuses on unity, progress, and technological advancement rather than spiritual matters. This worldview leaves little room for the kind of spiritual searching that can lead to chaos worship and corruption amongst their populace. The Eldar, including the Drukhari, are unable to worship or be corrupted by chaos in the same way as humans do because of their unique relationship with Slaanesh, the chaos god of pleasure, which was born from their depravity and lustful excesses. When Eldar die, their souls are at risk of being consumed automatically by Slaanesh unless they are captured by spirit stones. This situation has effectively prevented the Eldar from being significant followers of chaos, as any attempt to do so would lead to their souls being devoured almost instantly. While there are records of some Eldar worshipping chaos, particularly in the tumultuous period before the fall of the Eldari civilization, these instances are believed to be rare and not impactful on a larger scale. The Drukhari, despite their depravity and hedonistic practices, they do not really worship Slaanesh. Instead, they actively oppose and hate her, or it, as the chaos god desires to consume all Eldar souls, including theirs. However, their acts of depravity is but a way of preserving their own souls by keeping the darkness of Slaanesh at bay with the torture and pleasures wrought from captured slaves. In fact, the Dark Eldar constantly strive to avoid being consumed by Slaanesh, essentially warding off the chaos god by inadvertently making it stronger by feeding it with the souls of others. Now we come to the various Xenos races of Warhammer lore that are actually known to have been followers of the ruinous powers, been corrupted by them, or are potentially in part being of chaos origins. The first is of course the Lair. These were a reptilian Xenos species with snake-like lower bodies and 2 pairs of arms. They hail from a planet called Lairen, and they were dedicated to the worship of Slaanesh. They were encountered by the Emperor's children during the Great Crusade and were subsequently purged by the Legion. Due to the worship of Slaanesh, they also shared the Legion's pursuit of perfection, with many a times using genetic and chemical manipulation to transform. Fulgrim at that time was still a loyal son of the Emperor and ordered his Legion to slay all of them. This event marked the Legion's descent into corruption, with Fulgrim being possessed and corrupted after adopting the Lairen blade as his primary weapon, a weapon that actually had a greater demon of Slaanesh inside of it, whispering and seducing Fulgrim into the worship of the Prince of Pleasure. Another Xenos species that had links with chaos were the Canabrak. These were ape-like humanoid aliens who lived alongside humans in the Interrex Empire before the Great Crusade. They had a very advanced technology, which was of clear interest to both the Interrex and the Imperium, as many of those weapons had clear ties to the Chaos powers. One example is the Anathema Blade, dedicated to the Chaos god Nurgle. This blade, when the name of a target was spoken to it, would become deadly to that individual on a molecular level, producing poisons tailored to the genetic structure of the target. One such blade was stolen by Erebus of the Wordbearer's Legion, which was later used to mortally wound Horus, beginning his descent into chaos and marking the start of the Horus Heresy. The Canabrak were rendered extinct shortly after the end of the Horus Heresy, according to Imperial records. Another species are the Yuvath. They were a Xenos race discovered in the 39th millennium in the Calyx Expanse. They were known for their empire of dark sorcery, of soul slavery, and demonic worship, which revealed at what human society would become if they were ever to embrace the ruinous powers as their gods and benefactors. They needed to be wiped out, and so the Angevin Crusade was launched, which fought a long and bloody war against them, eventually pushing them back, fighting long hard wars against them and their huge slave armies armed with weapons of warp technology. The appearance of the Yuvath varied, possibly due to their intermingling with their slave races, and their true form has never been described. but they are well known for their heretical technology and creations, influenced by the warp, which continue to pose a danger to anyone foolish enough to wield them, as they subtly corrupt the users. After the Crusade, remnants of the Yuvat scattered across the Corona's expanse, falling into obscurity, either extinct or lying patiently in the unexplored regions of this sector. Then we have the Saruthi. These are a peculiar Xenos species with a small interstellar empire of 40 worlds near the Helican subsector. They are crustacean-like in appearance, but with 5 limbs instead of 6 or 8, and they have a lack of body symmetry, which is possibly due to Chaos mutation. These Xenos serve Chaos and allied themselves with various Chaos Space Marines and with the traitor Inquisitor called Glaw during the years of 300 of M41. Inquisitor Eisenhorn encountered them during an investigation into the conspiracy of the Necrotic on one of their colony worlds. He discovered that these crustacean-like Saruthi aliens can form human-like faces with 2 of their hands, even capable of speech, and they can shoot frost powers from a crown of electric blue energy levitating around their heads. Surprisingly, they do not have ships, but they rely on something called tetragates, which are similar to the Eldari's webway, and it is highly possible that these Xenos species serving Chaos are still up and about in that particular region of space. Another potential species for Chaos corruption were the Crave. They were an ancient and dangerous species that were described as large, carnivorous bats that possessed wings. Their origins trace back to an ancient Xenos weapon called the Autochthonar, which learned to reproduce and became their progenitor, and at the same time created an immense psychic network that connected all of them. This network allowed the Autochthonar to rule over the Crave, who used their psychic powers to dominate other species and build an empire of psychic vampirism. But if you think about it, this network is more like the hive mind of the Nids, and might have prevented them from falling under Chaos corruption or even worshipping the Chaos gods. But the potential for this happening cannot be ruled out. Lastly, we have the Mandrakes. These are a sinister race known for their ability to travel through shadows. Their origins are mysterious, with some theories suggesting that they are descendants of the Eldari who engage in dark acts with demonic entities before the fall, while others believe that they originated from a forbidden pleasure cult that escaped into a shadowy dimension within the immaterium. Be what it may, they are not considered part of the Dark Eldar, but they are their rivals and allies at times, and often rather hired through contracts. Mandrakes exist in both real space and in a realm called the Alendrak, within the webway, existing alongside Komora of the Dark Eldar. Although it is undocumented for them to worship or serve Chaos, they still do fill in all of the checklists of being at least a warp alien entity. So that's all about what I have on the Chaos Xenos forces of the aliens that worship or were under the control of Chaos. Anyway, if you like this video, then check this other one as well. And if you want to browse for other Warhammer content, then check out our channel. Subscribe, like for support, and we'll see you in the next video. Till the next time, take care, boys.